Pleiadian message on the threshold of first contact. We, the Pleiadians, convey this message. We are now taking a significant step forward, standing on the very threshold of what you perceive as first contact. Greetings to you, our cherished and beloved friends. I am Naelia, emanating from the luminous constellation of Maya. Our address goes out to you, beloved hearts, you precious starseeds who have intrinsically harbored and carried a profound, expansive sense of cosmic vastness within the deepest recesses of your Baina, deep-seated awareness that resonated within you long before you ever acquired the human language or conceptual framework to articulate or comprehend it fully. We encounter you at a pivotal station in your planetary journey, a point where your world is gently yet inevitably drawing closer to an unprecedented threshold. This is not unfolding as a sudden, earth-shattering revelation designed to transform everything overnight in a dramatic flash, but rather as a patient, progressive unfurling, a gradual, nuanced opening of your collective perception and understanding. It is an expansive opening through which an increasing number of you are beginning to profoundly recognize that genuine contact is not some distant future event, but is, in fact, already an integral part of your lived, unfolding reality. This connection manifests and arrives in myriad subtle ways through vivid, often prophetic dreams, through profound, undeniable inner recognitions that resonate deep within your soul, through the intuitive, often visceral way your physical body responds to truth and authenticity even before your conscious mind can fully articulate or categorize it, and through the gentle, yet undeniable, reordering and realignment of your everyday life experiences. When you finally arrive at that profound moment of self-admission, allowing yourselves to truly acknowledge that you are never truly alone in the universe in the isolated way you once mistakenly believed, the approaching revelation often first manifests not as an external event, but as a deeply personal inner permission. It's an internal sanction, a quiet yes from within. This is fundamentally because true collective readiness, the kind that paves the way for greater interactions, invariably begins as individual coherency, a state of inner alignment and self-possession within each person. And critically, when a sufficient number of human beings can cultivate and sustain a profound sense of wonder without ever compromising their inherent sovereignty, when they can embrace and sustain mystery without succumbing to the paralysis of fear, and when they can comfortably sustain the presence of the unknown without an overwhelming need to control or categorize it, only then does the larger, energetic field necessary for extensive contact become truly stable, robust, and receptive. Enough, stable enough, indeed, to allow this contact to be shared with humanity far more openly, far more consistently, and crucially, in a manner that ensures greater safety and mutual understanding for all involved. This profound shift is precisely why, as you observe the unfolding of your various timelines, you will increasingly notice a greater presence of diverse groups beginning to register within the expanding human consciousness. This presence is not intended to superimpose itself over your world in a dominating fashion, nor does it seek to compel you to outsource your intrinsic power or authority. Instead, it arrives as a profound invitation and impetus for you to collectively step into your true potential, embracing your rightful place as a mature, self-aware species within the vast cosmic tapestry. This maturation will manifest in a paradigm where authentic, direct relationship thoughtfully replaces outdated mythologies and simplistic narratives, where clear, intuitive discernment consciously supplants unconscious projection and misinterpretation, and where genuine, freely given consent becomes the foundational, universal language of true interstellar kinship and connection. From our vantage point within the Pleiades, our collective presence and steps forward are activated now because we detect and recognize a distinct, palpable resonance emerging within your planetary field, a unique energetic signature that we interpret as undeniable readiness on your part for these next stages of interaction. You will experience this burgeoning resonance most profoundly and unmistakably if you are among those individuals who have, deep within your very nervous system and cellular memory, carried the ancient, indelible memory of star lineage. This includes those of you who have always possessed an innate sensitivity to both truth and dissonance, those who have intuitively understood and embraced service as an intrinsic inner calling, a profound life purpose, rather than merely an external role to be performed, and those who have often quietly, yet consistently, felt within your hearts that your entire life journey was meticulously preparing you for a unique and unprecedented kind of participation in Earth's unfolding future and its grand evolution. Indeed, this participation, this deep engagement, fundamentally commences with a seemingly simple, yet profoundly transformative act of becoming truly coherent, fully integrated, and deeply aligned within your own individual self, a harmonious convergence of all your inner aspects. Furthermore, we wish to clarify our multifaceted role as an integral component of an inner Earth transition team. This is because the intricate process of stabilizing a world undergoing such a profound and widespread awakening necessitates many interwoven layers of compassionate support, various sophisticated forms of observation, and numerous kinds of gentle, non-intrusive assistance that meticulously respect the free will and developmental trajectory of your species. Within the intricate framework of this coordinated effort, there are strategically positioned stations maintained within inner Earth environments, serving as vital, tranquil points of energetic continuity and support. Concurrently, there are also advanced ships held within a specially phased dimensional band, situated just beyond your planetary atmosphere. These vessels exist within a reality spectrum that intricately interlinks and overlaps with your world, all while skillfully remaining entirely beyond the scope of common human detection and observation. This deliberate and meticulously calibrated arrangement precisely allows us to meet and engage with what is transpiring on your world without ever forcing our visibility upon you, to consistently remain present and supportive without demanding or commanding your attention, and to steadfastly bolster and expand the nascent bridge of consciousness between our realms without, at any point, inadvertently creating a relationship of undue dependency for your evolving species. The single most important and consistently simple detail to grasp is the expansive, unfolding relationship you are progressively building with a greater cosmic neighborhood always, without exception, originates and begins its manifestation within your own individual energetic field and inner landscape. This is crucial because the only kind of true contact that genuinely facilitates and supports authentic evolution is precisely the contact that meets you exactly as you are in your current state, profoundly honors your inherent agency and autonomy, and steadfastly works to strengthen and empower your own inner authority and sovereign wisdom. It is for these fundamental reasons that, before we delve into any other subject matter, we turn our focus and illuminate the concept of healing. This is because healing, in its most profound sense, stands as one of the primary and most essential activities inherent in the spiritual work we are discussing. Furthermore, this healing becomes truly sustainable and enduring only when it is deeply understood, not as an acquisition or a struggle, but as a graceful return journey back to the inherent, pristine state of what is already eternally true within you. May these words, offered in love and clarity, be received by you as a potent, energetic transmission of communication specifically intended to profoundly affirm your inherent worth, to gently remind you of your deepest truth, and to lovingly invite you to consciously re-enter and inhabit your own sacred inner home, the sanctuary of your true self. For indeed, the most authentic, most transformative, and truest contact you will ever experience or know is the profound connection you consciously establish with the vibrant, living presence residing deep within your very being. And from the coherent field of that profound inner contact, you will observe the entirety of your outer life begin to gracefully reorganize and realign itself with an astonishing and surprising tenderness, reflecting your inner harmony. And so, beloved ones, with this foundational understanding, we now truly begin our shared exploration. From our expanded perspective, healing is not an achievement, but fundamentally a return journey back to your intrinsic state of wholeness. You can viscerally feel the undeniable truth of this principle within your physical body when you observe that the deepest, most profound sense of relief invariably arrives the very moment you consciously cease resisting the natural flow of life and instead allow yourself to gracefully come back in a perfect alignment with what is fundamentally real and true. A significant number of you on Earth have been conditioned and taught to conceive of healing as a tangible object to be acquired, as a definitive outcome to be achieved, or as something you either passively receive or frustratingly do not receive. Yet, we assure you, healing behaves far more akin to a dynamic activity of consciousness itself, of vibrant, living movement of remembrance, of recognition, that spontaneously begins precisely where your focused attention gently softens, where your breath naturally deepens and expands, and crucially, where your heart becomes wholeheartedly willing to meet itself in its entirety, without reservation or negotiation. When you approach healing as a distant destination to be reached, an endpoint on a challenging journey, your sensitive nervous system tends to instinctively engage in a restless search, and this very act of searching often induces tension and constriction. Your focused attention, in this state, then inadvertently reinforces the very patterns of separation and incompleteness that prevent you from experiencing your inherent wholeness. Conversely, when you consciously treat healing as a natural return, coming home to self, your entire system, both subtle and physical, begins to profoundly calm and settle. This is because the concept of return inherently implies that your pristine state of wholeness was never genuinely lost or irreparably damaged. It was merely temporarily obscured, veiled by layers of accumulated stress, by the pervasive influence of fear, by an intense over-identification with limiting personal narratives, and by the ingrained habit of passively observing your life from an external vantage point rather than fully inhabiting and experiencing it vibrantly from within. This profound understanding is precisely why we speak of healing as one of the fundamental and primary activities of this awakening work. Because as you progressively awaken to your true nature, you quite naturally and spontaneously begin to release and shed what no longer serves your highest good, what simply cannot travel with you on your evolving path. This process of release is accompanied by distinct physical sensations. It invariably brings forth a spectrum of emotions that demand recognition, and this profound release inevitably reshapes and redefines your very sense of identity. And within that dynamic reshaping, your energetic field instinctively seeks its natural state of harmony, just as a flowing body of water invariably seeks its natural ground level. In essence, what you commonly refer to as healing is very often the intricate process of your physical body, your sensitive psyche, and your eternal soul gracefully returning to their original, native organization and coherent design, once they are no longer compelled or forced to maintain patterns of distortion, resistance, or misalignment. It is also vital to understand that healing, while crucial, is not itself the ultimate object or singular goal of this transformative work. Rather, the ultimate object of this profound work is the cultivation of authentic, embodied presence. This conscious presence, in turn, spontaneously produces a multitude of beautiful and beneficial consequences, and healing stands as one of its most remarkable manifestations. This intrinsic longing is, in fact, one of the clearest and most undeniable signs that you were profoundly designed for something far grander and more expansive than mere survival. Many of you have, over the course of your lives, referred to it by various evocative names of poignant homesickness for an unknown place, a divine discontent that stirs the depths of your being, the subtle pain of seeking deeper meaning, or simply an intuitive sense that something absolutely essential is missing from your experience. We now offer a gentle, yet powerful, reframing of this profound experience. This longing is not a deficiency, but rather an intrinsic compass, unerringly pointing you towards your true cosmic origin, your authentic sense of belonging, and a living, vibrant relationship with the ultimate source that your soul instinctively recognizes as its true home. You can indeed have a loving, supportive family and still keenly feel this yearning. You can achieve immense external success and still perceive its quiet presence. You can experience profound comfort and still sense its gentle pull. The act of feeling this longing does not, in any way, signifying gratitude for what you possess. It signifies, instead, that you are profoundly awake and aware enough to consciously notice that the soul, in its boundless depth, cannot ultimately be satisfied by mere substitutes or fleeting distractions. The soul is not, fundamentally, a machine that operates solely on external stimulation or superficial pleasures. Rather, the soul is pure presence, thriving and blossoming in the sacred intimacy of communion. For starseeds, this particular longing can be exceptionally vivid and palpable. You may consciously or even subliminally carry within your cellular memory echoes of other worlds, other communities, or other forms of profound coherence. Even when you are unable to explicitly name or intellectually categorize these deep memories, you instinctively feel them as a quiet, resonant recognition of a wider, more expansive family of life that extends far beyond your current understanding. You may have spent countless years diligently attempting to fit into the density of this earthly plane, all the while secretly wondering why the act of fitting in felt so much like a painful shrinking of your authentic self. The profound longing you carry is not, therefore, asking for an escape from Earth. Rather, it is powerfully asking you to graciously bring more of your true, vibrant frequency to Earth, to consistently live from your inner home and truth even as you navigate your human life, and to courageously embody remembrance rather than merely performing a continuous act of adaptation. Your current incarnation here matters immensely. The unique gifts and insights you came here to share fundamentally require your full presence, not an elusive perfection. This intrinsic longing also tenderly teaches humility. It beautifully demonstrates that the deepest and most enduring fulfillment comes not from attempting to control every aspect of life, but from truly belonging to life itself, in all its magnificent complexity. Belonging, in its most authentic form, is deeply felt when you stop bargaining for your inherent worthiness and begin, instead, to gracefully receive the profound truth that you are already, unequivocally, held and cherished. When you consciously choose to honor this deep longing, you cease attempting to silence its persistent whisper and begin, instead, to truly listen to its profound guidance. Listening itself, in this context, becomes a powerful act of healing, for listening is the respectful act of meeting your inner self with profound reverence and acceptance. Respect, in turn, gently opens the heart, and an open heart then transforms into the sacred doorway through which the divine source of all creation can be profoundly felt and experienced. Therefore, let this longing be recognized as sacred. Let it be interpreted as invaluable guidance rather than an indication of inherent lack. Let it lovingly guide you towards the only true satisfaction that genuinely endures through all-time direct relationship, direct presence, and direct communion with the source of your being. From this profound understanding, we naturally transition to exploring the consistent practice of communion as the ultimate, true remedy for the soul. Communion is not merely an abstract idea or a philosophical concept that you intellectually adopt. It is fundamentally a deeply intimate feeling of vibrant, living contact with the pure, animating presence that gives life and breath to your very being. It gracefully becomes accessible and profoundly real the very moment you cease demanding dramatic, external experiences and simply allow yourself to be fully, authentically present right here, right now, fully embodied, deeply connected to your breath, and immersed in the quiet, undeniable truth of the present moment. Many of you were meticulously taught to perceive and relate to the sacred as something distant, often conditional, an elusive state that needed to be laboriously earned through immense effort, rigorous purity, or vast intellectual knowledge. Yet, true communion arrives most effortlessly and purely when you are simply honest, genuinely humble, and fully willing to receive it, for sincerity itself is a powerful vibration that graciously invites presence without any accompanying tension or struggle. You can discover and experience profound communion through various pathways, through dedicated meditation, heartfelt prayer, periods of sacred silence, immersion in the beauty of nature, listening to uplifting music, acts of pure devotion, selfless service to others, or even through the simple, conscious act of placing your hand gently over your heart and breathing deeply as if you are purposefully opening a sacred space for your authentic self. You will unmistakably recognize the presence of communion not by dazzling fireworks or dramatic external manifestations, but rather by the subtle, yet profound, ways your nervous system calms and settles. Your mind gracefully softens its ceaseless chatter. Your heart warmly expands with loving acceptance, and your entire life begins to feel more inherently coherent and harmonized even when your external circumstances remain outwardly unchanged. That is precisely why we profoundly refer to communion as the true remedy for the soul's deepest yearnings. It lovingly restores you to your authentic self, and in the miraculous act of restoring you to your true self, it simultaneously restores your direct and conscious connection to the divine source of all creation. The perceived separation you may have feared was never, in truth, a real distance or an unbridgeable chasm. It was merely a momentary forgetting, an ingrained habit of perpetually looking outward for what could only ever be truly found and experienced within your own inner sanctuary. When you genuinely remember this profound truth, the return to your authentic self and to Source is immediate and complete. Within the sacred embrace of communion, you begin to deeply feel held and unconditionally supported. This profound experience of being held changes absolutely everything. For a being that truly feels held and cherished no longer needs to tirelessly fight for its very existence. A held being can finally and completely relax into the profound processes of healing, deep integration, crystal clear clarity, and the gentle, unwavering courage that is so necessary to live a truly authentic and meaningful life. For starseeds, communion also serves as a crucial recalibration, a powerful energetic realignment that lovingly returns you to your original inherent frequency. When you consciously return to and embody that pure frequency, you naturally cease seeking the approval of density and begin, instead, to generously offer coherence to density itself, a service that is truly one of the greatest and most impactful you can possibly embody during your time here. Communion does not, importantly, require an ascetic withdrawal from the world. On the contrary, it teaches you the profound art of gracefully walking within the world while remaining deeply anchored in your sacred inner dwelling place. That unwavering inner anchoring then becomes the very foundation of an enduring peace, the kind of profound peace that arrives without any need for external explanation, a peace that is effortlessly carried into your daily choices, your meaningful relationships, your physical body, and your unique life path. Let communion be beautifully simple, a daily practice profoundly honest, and uniquely yours. For the deepest and most transformative relationship you will ever cultivate is with a vibrant, living presence that resides intrinsically within you. As this sacred relationship deepens and blossoms, you will inevitably recognize a profound peace that requires no external reasons or justifications for its existency, a peace that arrives as a precious gift of profound remembrance. This, beloved ones, is where our journey of understanding takes us next. Peace arrives much like the gentle dawn, quietly, steadily, radiating its presence without any need to intellectually explain itself to the analytical mind. You will distinctly recognize its arrival because your physical body will be the first to soften, releasing any held tension. Your breath will deepen and become fuller, expanding with greater ease. Your entire inner being will feel so wonderfully spacious and expansive, capable of embracing the entire day with profound kindness and grace. For many of you, and particularly for starseeds who often carry a heightened sensitivity that serves as both a profound gift and a unique challenge piece, may have previously seemed like something to be laboriously earned through the achievement of perfect external circumstances. Yet, the peace we speak of is a direct, vibrant experientia, living contact with a pure essence of presence that can be deeply felt even while life around you continues to reorganize and shift. It depends on no external story or narrative. Instead, it naturally arises as a deeply settled and harmonious tone within you, a profound, simple completeness, a gentle fullness that asks for nothing whatsoever except your sincere willingness to simply remain present in this very moment. When this exquisite peace arrives, your mind may instinctively search for rational causes or explanations, while your heart, with its innate wisdom, will simply recognize it as a precious, unsolicited gift. Sometimes, this profound peace arrives while you are immersed in the warmth of community, at other times in the quiet solitude of your own space, and occasionally even when your hands are diligently engaged in activity while your mind remains softly quiet and focused. You will unmistakably know its presence by the profound absence of internal argument or conflict. You may not even be able to articulate it verbally. And this is truly part of its inherent purity. It is not painstakingly produced by control or manipulation, but rather gracefully received through the simple act of opening yourself. This conscious opening is a practice to which you can consistently return again and again. This peace transcends the conventional notions of cause and effect by which your world often measures comfort. It is not a fleeting mood generated by good news, nor is it the intense excitement derived from external stimulation. It is fundamentally pure coherence, and coherence possesses its own distinct and unmistakable signature. Excitement, by its nature, rises rapidly, peaks intensely, and then tends to scatter your attention outwardly in many directions. Peace, in beautiful contrast, gently gathers, subtly warms, and lovingly draws your attention inward to your core. When you truly learn to discern this vital difference, you will cease confusing intensity with genuine alignment and will begin, instead, to trust the quieter, more profound guidance that never rushes or pushes you. Peace naturally accompanies remembrance, and remembrance is that sacred moment when you profoundly feel your own authentic being once again, beyond the constraints of roles, external pressures, or the collective noise of the world. In that deeply resonant moment, you remember that you are always held and cherished. As this peace gently settles and becomes more ingrained, it also becomes wonderfully portable, which is truly one of its most beautiful and practical qualities. You can effortlessly carry it into a challenging conversation, into a bustling, crowded room, or into the heart of a difficult decision. This inherent peace will then begin to subtly organize your words, your tone, your timing, and your personal boundaries with a surprising and profound gentleness. You may even notice that others respond to you differently when you're so deeply anchored, for peace is inherently transmissible. It conveys a profound sense of safety and security without any need for overt persuasion. And safety, in turn, allows nervous systems to soften, hearts to gently open, and genuine honesty to gracefully emerge. In this profound way, beloved ones, your personal peace inherently becomes a powerful form of service, not a performance or a grand gesture, but rather a palpable atmosphere that you radiate. Your starseed mission becomes wonderfully practical and tangible in the most ordinary, everyday moments. Your unwavering steadiness quietly helps another soul remember their own inherent center. Therefore, let this peace be simple and uncomplicated. Let it be consistently repeatable in your daily life. Let it teach you the profound truth that you need not laboriously manufacture light. You simply need to gracefully open space for it to naturally shine forth. As you consciously open this inner space, you will distinctly feel how inner peace naturally and effortlessly restores your outer life. Step by deliberate, steep process, we will now share in the subsequent movement of this understanding. When this profound inner peace becomes your natural, enduring, resting tone, the outer layers of your life will begin to respond in much the same way a tranquil lake settles when the wind above it finally calms its surface, becomes smooth and reflective only when the atmosphere above it truly stills. You are, in essence, learning to become that serene, calm atmosphere for your own internal experience. Your body, which has diligently absorbed every single thought, every subtle tension, and every unspoken worry, begins to lovingly remember its innate, native rhythm. This remembrance is immensely practical in its effects. Sleep deepens and becomes more restorative. Digestion stabilizes and functions more harmoniously. Your breath becomes more efficient and expansive, and your muscles gracefully release the long-held contraction patterns accumulated over years of unconscious stress and tension. You may begin to notice your vitality steadily returning in small, consistent increments, not as a sudden, dramatic performance of perfection, but as a gradual, gentle restoration of deep trust between your conscious self and your physical form. Emotions, too, begin a process of graceful integration. When peace is profoundly present, for peace generously provides a safe, expansive container within which your feelings can be held without judgment. Feelings that are held safely need not erupt or overwhelm in order to be heard or acknowledged. You can graciously allow grief to move through you, anger to clearly define necessary boundaries, tenderness to widely open your heart, and joy to arrive without any suspicion or reservation. Your inner field no longer demands that everything be perfectly fixed or resolved before allowing life to simply be. In this beautiful state of integration, your mind becomes remarkably clearer, not by forcefully imposing silence, but by simply being less crowded with incessant thoughts. In that newfound clarity, you begin to choose more precisely, to speak with greater kindness, and to instinctively notice patterns before they escalate into overwhelming storms. Life becomes profoundly more manageable from this state of being. You meet each unfolding moment as simply a moment, rather than perceiving it as an imminent threat. Your nervous system can finally respond thoughtfully, rather than merely reacting instinctively. This is the profound grace we speak of, the quiet, inherent intelligence that gently carries you forward, much like water effortlessly carries a boat when a vessel ceases to fight against the natural current. You will recognize the presence of grace by how naturally and effortlessly the next right step presents itself, once you release the need to demand that the entire path be visibly laid out before you. Outer harmony then naturally follows inner harmony, like nourishing fruit follows healthy, deeply rooted trees, not as a mere payment or a reward, but as a beautiful, organic consequence. You can observe this phenomenon in your relationships gracefully softening, your finances stabilizing through wiser, more aligned choices, new opportunities aligning beautifully with your true values, and the timing of events feeling consistently favorable and synchronous. For you starseeds, this is also the pivotal stage when your service to the world truly becomes sustainable. You are no longer attempting to heal the world from a place of profound exhaustion or depletion, but are instead offering pure coherence from a deep wellspring of authentic wholeness. And genuine wholeness is precisely what the collective truly needs and can most effectively receive. You may feel guidance at this advanced stage as an inherent intelligence that moves harmoniously with you, effortlessly arranging propitious encounters, gracefully opening and closing doors, and gently steering you away from draining or misaligned paths. This profound guidance is not a distracting command or an external dictate. It is, instead, a deeply felt language of complete alignment. Therefore, allow peace to do what it naturally and intrinsically does, restoring your outer life through the profound power of your inner being. As you observe this magnificent restoration, as these insights gently unfold before you, a profound understanding will begin to blossom within the realization that the most profound and encompassing healing is intrinsically linked to presence itself. Furthermore, it clarifies why the ultimate source of all existence is most accurately perceived and known not as an external force of intervention, but as an ever-present, pervasive field of pure presence. It is precisely to this core truth that our attention now shifts, as we delve into the most fundamental reality shared by every spiritual and human path. Once healing is profoundly understood and embraced as a manifestation of presence, a natural and deeply resonant inquiry inevitably arises within what then is the precise nature of this ubiquitous presence that continually encounters and envelopes me. The profound answer to this question transcends mere intellectual definition. It is, rather, a direct, visceral experience felt most purely in the hushed stillness of your inner being. Throughout the rich tapestry of your world's spiritual traditions, countless appellations have been lovingly bestowed upon this ultimate reality God, the primal source, the divine creator, the omnipresent one, the radiant living light, Christ consciousness, each serving as a unique pointer toward the singular, undeniable reality. You are wholeheartedly encouraged to employ any language that authentically resonates with your heart, allowing it to unfurl without coercing your analytical mind into sterile theological debates. The specific name assigned holds significantly less importance than the cultivation of true intimacy with this presence, for it is this profound intimacy that instigates transformative shifts within your very nervous system, bringing a quiet equilibrium to your heart and ultimately restoring that deep sense of belonging which many starseeds have tirelessly pursued in distant outer worlds, all the while unaware that the authentic gateway lay patiently awaiting discovery within their own core. This inherent presence is, by its very nature, never distant or remote. Indeed, the concept of distance itself is merely a construct of perception, a mental filter. Rather, presence is the fundamental ground, the foundational canvas upon which all perception, all experience, arises and unfolds. Its felt quality is akin to a deep inner yes, a tender, unwavering certainty that lovingly welcomes you back to your true home, unconditionally and without reservation. When you truly connect with and touch this pervasive presence, you do not perceive a competitive force vying for dominance or struggling against others. Instead, you are enveloped by an experience of absolute, complete inclusionist sense, so profound and all-encompassing that any lingering need or impulse for conflict simply dissipates and vanishes. Within that profound disappearance, you begin to grasp with crystal clarity why fear, rather than being conquered through arduous struggle, gently dissolves through simple remembrance. Struggle, by its very definition, implies the existence of two distinct, equally powerful forces locked in opposition, pulling fiercely against each other. Remembrance, conversely, unveils an immutable, steady truth that has never been genuinely challenged or opposed, but merely forgotten. When your entire being, your intricate physical and energetic system recognizes and internalizes this fundamental truth, the body naturally relaxes its tension, the restless mind stills its incessant chatter, and the heart, feeling utterly safe and unthreatened, can once again bravely open to its full capacity. This profound distinction explains precisely why we consistently refer to the ultimate source as presence, rather than conceiving of it as an external intervention. The very notion of intervention inherently suggests a fundamental separation, implying that life itself is somehow distinct from the sacred, perpetually requiring some form of external correction or rescue. Presence, by contrast, unequivocally reveals that the sacred is not only here, but intimately woven into the very fabric and substance of your being. When you fundamentally shift your relationship with Source, recognizing it as this inherent presence, You effortlessly cease the lifelong quest of waiting for external permission to embody your inherent wholeness. Instead, you begin the transformative journey of living authentically from the state of wholeness that is perpetually and unconditionally available within you. This radical paradigm shift reverberates through every aspect of your existence, fundamentally altering the way you approach prayer, engage in meditation, make crucial decisions, and bravely confront life's inevitable uncertainties. For starseeds, those souls who carry deep, resonant memories of other harmonious realms and cosmic origins, this anchoring in presence holds particular and vital significance. It serves to firmly ground your unique spiritual gifts directly into your current incarnation, transforming vague longings into tangible realities, thereby enabling you to offer heartfelt service without the need to withdraw or detach from the rich, complex human world you specifically chose to support. Authentic presence does not beckon you to abandon or disavow your humanity, quite the opposite. It invites you to fully and consciously inhabit it, to dwell completely within the intricate experience of being human. In this profound act of inhabiting, you naturally transform into a living Bridgia serene, calming field of energy and awareness where others can spontaneously remember their own inherent truth and connection, all without the need for external directives or prescriptive dogmas about what they should believe. This, then, is the true pathway through which your authentic power expands and flourishes, not through aggressive force, nor through manipulative persuasion, but through the gentle, yet undeniable, radiance of coherence that naturally emanates from living in profound intimacy and alignment with the ultimate source. Allow the sacred to be utterly immediate, an unmediated experience. Let it be deeply and intimately felt within every fiber of your being. Recognize it as being closer, more intrinsic than the very essence of your next breath. As you truly begin to taste and embody this profound immediacy, you will find your often overactive mind gracefully simplifying, settling into one singular, steady no-winga simple yet profound phrase that resonates with more fundamental truth than countless volumes of complex texts. That luminous phrase, offered with utmost clarity, is simply Source is. This is the core concept we now embark upon to explore together. Source functions as a potent portal, beloved ones. It unveils itself with a radical simplicity that the intellectual mind, often conditioned to believe that true depth must invariably be complicated and convoluted, frequently overlooks. Conversely, the intuitive heart, in its innate wisdom, instantly recognizes that the most profound and foundational truths are, almost without exception, the most direct and elegantly simple. From this state of profound inner calm, a multitude of positive transformations begin to manifest. Your choices become remarkably simpler and clearer. Your personal boundaries grow more distinct and inviolable. Your compassion deepens and becomes more steadfast, and your intuition sharpens. Becoming exquisitely precise for intuitive insights are always more effortlessly received and understood when your inner energetic field is coherent and aligned. Source also powerfully works to dissolve the pervasive illusion of separation, not by denying the beautiful uniqueness of your individuality, but by gracefully placing that individuality within a vast, all-encompassing field of belonging. You retain all the intricate facets of your human life, your unique personality, your personal history, and your inherent responsibilities, yet now, these are carried within a far grander, more expansive context where you are profoundly aware that you are never truly alone, even within the deepest parts of yourself. This is precisely why the phrase source carries such completeness and resonancy, unerringly points to the foundational reality that is already eternally here. And what is already here is unequivocally sufficient enough to affirm your inherent worth, to guide your every step, and to fully restore you to your authentic, pristine wholeness. For starseeds, in particular, this understanding is exceptionally favorable and liberating. Many of you have carried a deeply ingrained habit, an almost compulsive tendency to constantly scan your environment for external signs, for grand missions, or for the next urgent task. Source is gently, yet firmly, teaches that the very first and most foundational task is simply to embody presence, and it is this profound presence that, in turn, renders all other subsequent tasks unequivocally clear. When you are fully anchored in presence, you naturally cease the anxious, frantic race toward an imagined future. Instead, the future begins to unfold and arrive in its perfect, divine timing, precisely because your precious attention is no longer fragmented and scattered by the debilitating energies of worry and apprehension. Allow Source is to become your most fundamental and simplest anchor, a steadfast point of return. Let it gently guide you toward the next essential and transformative truth. Relaxation is far from being a mere luxury or an indulgent pastime. It is, in fact, the indispensable portal through which this profound inner knowing becomes fully embodied and integrated into your physical being. Through this vital process of embodiment, your entire life becomes sufficiently stable and robust to effortlessly carry and express the unique gifts and wisdom you incarnated to share. Beloved ones, genuine relaxation represents embodied spiritual intelligentsia, foundational key that remains one of the most consistently misunderstood concepts in your contemporary world. Many individuals have mistakenly conflated true relaxation with apathy or disengagement yet. Authentic relaxation is the unequivocal signal you send to your entire system, assuring it that it is profoundly safe enough to openly receive and integrate truth. When you consciously choose to relax, you're not surrendering or giving up in any negative sense. Rather, you're consciously choosing to opento, expand your receptivity. This very act of opening is the precise mechanism through which deeper currents of divine guidance can reach you, flowing unimpeded and without distortion. This understanding illuminates why, beloved starseeds, so many among you experience profound exhaustion as you tirelessly strive to awaken solely through sheer effort and willpower. Such strenuous effort, paradoxically, can constrict and tighten the very energetic channels through which your innate intuition seeks to flow. The path begins with radical simplicity. Consciously allow your shoulders to gently drop. Permit your jaw to soften its habitual tension, and invite your breath to deepen, expanding as if you were intentionally creating sacred space for the full expression of your own life. Within that profound deepening of breath and release of tension, your body naturally shifts its default state from one of hypervigilance to one of serene presence. Presence is the optimal state where divine guidance becomes unequivocally audible, not as an external voice or command, but as a felt clarity, a steady stream of undeniable knowing that arrives without fanfare. You may then observe how the next appropriate step becomes effortlessly obvious. The perfect words emerge without prior rehearsal. The incessant impulse to overthink dissolves into quiet, and your entire inner world gracefully organizes itself into a harmonious coherence, as naturally and undeniably as water always seeks and finds its own true level. Ease, by its very nature, gracefully invites the condition of coherence. Coherence, in turn, becomes a magnetic draw for divine grace. And grace, in its purest form, flows unimpeded and moves freely through an energetic field that is no longer resisting its own inherent truth. When you are truly relaxed, you are liberated from the strenuous need to force or manipulate the future instead. The future can organically unfold and meet you in its perfect, aligned timing. This right timing is, in essence, one of the undeniable signatures of authentic alignment with Source. This profound insight does not imply a passive avoidance of necessary action, rather. It signifies that action now arises from a deeply centered and grounded place within you, rather than being impulsively driven by panic or external pressures. Action initiated from this serene, centered space tends to be inherently gentler, profoundly clearer in its intent, and ultimately far more effective in its manifestation. Your contemporary world, with its prevailing cultural narratives, has extensively conditioned many of you to operate from a relentless drive for performance, an insistent sense of urgency, and an insatiable need for external proof and validation. This pervasive training can initially make the practice of genuine relaxation feel profoundly strange, even unsettling at times, especially if your personal history has conditioned you to believe that safety and security were always conditional, dependent on constant striving. Yet, relaxation is precisely the indispensable conduit through which your profound inner dwelling becomes readily accessible. This inner sanctuary is inherently subtle in its nature, and such delicate subtlety simply cannot be perceived or heard amidst the cacophony of external noise and internal mental chatter. As you consistently engage in the gentle, yet powerful practice of relaxation, you will inevitably begin to perceive and deeply feel the sacred woven into the fabric of even the most ordinary moments, the profound quiet that settles between tasks, the sacred silence that precedes the utterance of words from your heart, the comforting warmth that spontaneously arises when you courageously choose to embody truth, and the unwavering steadiness that returns when you cease the habitual patterns of self-abandonment. For starseeds, in particular, relaxation also serves as a crucial form of energetic protect-iona vital safeguard that prevents your innate empathy from morphing into overwhelming absorption. A truly relaxed energetic field is beautifully permeable without being porous or leaky. It possesses the capacity to feel deeply without drowning in external emotions, to serve others wholeheartedly without collapsing your own reserves, and to love expansively without losing your essential boundaries. In this transformative way, relaxation evolves into a profound discipline of sovereignty, teaching you the invaluable art of remaining authentically open and receptive to life, while simultaneously remaining deeply anchored and unwavering in your own sacred center. Therefore, allow relaxation to be recognized and utilized as your sacred portal. Let it be conscientiously practiced daily, not as a chore, but as an act of loving self-care. Let it become the gentle, yet profoundly effective bridge that seamlessly brings higher knowing, wisdom, and cosmic consciousness fully into your physical body. Embodiment, in this context, is the crucible through which your unique soul mission truly becomes real, tangible, and actively expressed. From this state of profound embodiment, you will naturally and effortlessly begin living from the essence of your inner dwelling, that sacred, internal home we are about to enter next, approaching it with unwavering steadiness and profound joy. The inner dwelling represents that unwavering steadiness, that immutable core within you, which remains entirely independent of your external location, your societal status, or the elusive approval of others. When you consciously begin the journey of living from this profound inner sanctuary, your sense of identity naturally becomes less fragile and vulnerable, rooted instead in the unshakable truth of presence rather than the shifting sands of external performance or validation. You will, of course, still possess your unique personality, your individual preferences, your cultural heritage, your personal history, and all the rich, beautiful textures that comprise human life. However, these distinct qualities are now gracefully held within a far deeper, more expansive sense of belonging that remains constant and unwavering, never fluctuating or diminishing, regardless of how drastically external circumstances may change. This profound inner sanctuary is precisely what so many of you have been tirelessly seeking. Beloved Starseed 7, if you were previously unable to articulate or name this deep yearning a true home that resides eternally within you, an unshakable inner security, a fundamental citizenship of being that is your birthright. When you intentionally begin living from this authentic inner dwelling, your perception of the external world undergoes a remarkable transformation. You are no longer desperately attempting to extract a sense of belonging from external systems that were never intrinsically designed or capable of providing it. Instead, belonging becomes an undeniable, visceral felt truth emanating from within. From the firm foundation of that truth, you are empowered to engage with the world with significantly more calm, greater discernment, and profound compassion simply because you are no longer implicitly negotiating or proving your fundamental right to exist. This shift marks the profound beginning of practical unity not as an empty slogan or a theoretical ideal, but as a living, felt perception that instinctively recognizes kinship and interconnectedness even amidst apparent differences. You will begin to notice your own inherent biases and prejudices naturally dissolving when your heart is firmly anchored within a field of consciousness that recognizes and embraces fundamental unity. This unity then becomes profoundly practical and tangible in countless small, yet significant, moments of daily life, listening deeply without the compulsive urge to rush to your own defense, speaking your truth without the egoic need to win an argument, courageously choosing justice and fairness, even when fear might tempt you towards selfishness, and always remembering that every single being you encounter carries a rich, intricate stories that inevitably soften and reveal their depth when met with genuine respect and open-hearted curiosity. Crucially, this expanded awareness does not seek to erase necessary boundaries. Instead, it gracefully refines and clarifies them. A truly grounded being possesses the capacity to utter yes and no with equal measures of profound calm and unwavering conviction. These calm, clearly defined boundaries, paradoxically, foster a greater sense of safety and trust for all individuals involved. As your inner security deepens and expands, your outer relationships with others tend to spontaneously improve. People instinctively sense your inherent steadiness, and that very steadiness naturally invites a greater degree of honesty, authenticity, and vulnerability. The anchoring within your inner dwelling also fundamentally reshapes your relationship with broader concepts like nations, flags, and collective identity. Yes, it does not demand their outright rejection, but rather places them within a far larger, more inclusive context where you remember that your deepest and most fundamental loyalty is ultimately to life itself in all its myriad forms. You begin to recognize a shared, universal citizenship that effortlessly transcends all artificial borders, perceiving humanity as a single, interconnected family of beings where genuine compassion is possible without descending into naivete, and keen discernment is achievable without succumbing to contempt or judgment. From this elevated perspective, ingrained fanaticism and entrenched prejudice begin to appear like outdated garments, old clothes that simply no longer fit your expanding consciousness. You can then release them effortlessly, without struggle or resistance, because your heart has discovered and embraced a far more expansive and inclusive space within. With the cultivation of that expansive inner space, qualities of profound integrity and authentic humility naturally emerge. You find yourself liberated from the incessant need to prove your spirituality to anyone. Instead, you simply begin the gentle, yet powerful journey of quietly living it. Your inner work, therefore, transforms from being primarily about external display or superficial appearance to being fundamentally about genuine depthless, about being seen or recognized, and far more about simply being true to your authentic self. The most genuine and impactful service you can possibly offer the world is the consistent embodiment of coherent presence, seamlessly carried into the fabric of your ordinary, everyday life. As you mature and deepen your roots within this sacred inner home, you will intuitively grasp why a conscious practice of sacred privacy inherently protects true depth, and why the quiet, unassuming path powerfully strengthens that which is authentically real within you. Indeed, true depth flourishes and grows most robustly when carefully shielded from the pressures and expectations of external performance. Many of you will resonate with this truth on a deeply intuitive level, perceiving the inner life as akin to a precious seed, quietly gathering strength and resilience in the fertile darkness before it is ready to gracefully unfurl and reach toward the light. When your practice is wholeheartedly dedicated to the pursuit of truth rather than the fleeting validation of external applause, your entire energetic field naturally becomes more coherent and stable. Coherence, in this context, is the optimal condition within which genuine transformation can take root and flourish, undisturbed by the distractions of comparison or the egoic need to impress others. Sacred privacy, understood in this expansive sense, is not a secret born of fear or shame. Rather, it is an act of profound reverence, a conscious and deliberate choice to allow that which is tender, nascent, and deeply authentic within you to mature gracefully, without the premature exposure to external judgments or expectations. What is allowed to mature in this gentle, protected manner inevitably becomes luminous and radiates its truth without any need for external force or exertion. You may distinctly notice that when you intentionally keep your spiritual practice simple, grounded, and profoundly sincere, something deep within you begins to settle and harmonize. You are no longer performing spirituality as a projected identity. Your service to the world, consequently, transforms, becoming both quieter in its execution and infinitely more potent in its impact, manifesting as deep, attentive listening, offering genuine kindness without the need for public announcement, and simply doing what you can with sincerity without requiring external recognition or applause. Humility then becomes an entirely natural state of being, for the sacred work is no longer centered on the individual ego, but rather on the boundless presence moving seamlessly through the self. In this beautiful way, your inner world grows immensely strong and resilient. What is genuinely true within you becomes so stable and deeply rooted that you can freely share it with the world without any fear of compromising its intrinsic purity. Yet, simultaneously, beloved ones, it is vital to understand that this concept of sacred privacy does not equate to isolation, nor does it demand that you carry the complexities of life entirely alone. On the contrary, genuine support is deeply sacred. Safe, authentic connection with others is an integral component of developing profound coherence for a nervous system, particularly one that has experienced trauma or stress. Heals far more effectively and gracefully when it feels witnessed, understood, and held with unconditional respect. This is precisely why we strongly encourage the cultivation of wise discernment in your interactions, rather than a strategy of hiding or retreating. Share your outer truths, your insights, and your vulnerabilities with carefully trusted individuals, wise friends, experienced mentors, compassionate counselors, skilled healers, or grounded professionals who possess the capacity to hold you in a profoundly safe and non-judgmental space. Let your sharing always be guided by one illuminating question: does this particular connection, in its essence, genuinely strengthen my journey of return to my authentic self? When your sharing is chosen with profound wisdom and intention, it does not in any way dilute or diminish your crucial inner work. Rather, it actively nourishes, enriches, and amplifies it. You are not fragmenting your being into a performative public mask and a hidden realm of private pain. Instead, you're consciously allowing your entire life to become integrated a state of holistic alignment. Integration, in its deepest sense, represents one of the highest and most profound forms of healing available. For that which is truly integrated need not strain or shout to be heard or acknowledged. 4 starseeds, those unique souls who have often carried a pervasive sense of being fundamentally different or other. This understanding is particularly paramount. You are not obligated to continually prove the validity of your experiences to every individual you encounter, nor are you destined to carry the weight of your journey entirely alone. There exist compassionate hearts and conscious communities capable of meeting you with the maturity, understanding, and acceptance you deserve. For your precious soul was never intended to be outsourced for validation or carried in isolation. If you have diligently been seeking a clear sign, a definitive affirmation that you possess the inherent permission to profoundly trust yourself, then let this very moment, this very message, serve as that undeniable sign. It is given not through an external command or authoritarian decree, but through the deep, intuitive resonance it sparks within your own being. True grace does not impose a demand for proof of your worthiness. Indeed, worthiness is not an elusive quality that must be earned through ceaseless striving or achievement. It is, rather, an intrinsic truth that is simply recognized, remembered, and embraced. This recognition often manifests as a profound tenderness and gentle compassion directed toward your own intricate humanity. You may have, at various junctures, harshly judged yourself for the fundamental human needs of requiring time for introspection, adequate rest, experiencing the natural emotion of fear, or for making inevitable mistakes. Yet, the spiritual path does not, in its essence, demand an unrealistic perfection. Instead, it lovingly invites the fullness of your presence. Presence, in its alchemical magic, transforms every raw experience into profound wisdom. When you choose to meet yourself with unwavering presence, you cease the exhausting cycle of rehearsing self-punishment and instead begin the nurturing practice of building an authentic relationship. And it is this profound relationship with the sacred within and around you that ultimately heals all wounds. 4 starseeds. This particular truth resides at the very heart of the matter. For many of you specifically chose to incarnate and serve during this pivotal period of profound planetary transition. Your invaluable service to humanity and the Earth becomes truly sustainable, deeply impactful, and joyfully enduring when it begins and is consistently rooted in a state of unwavering coherence. Coherence is not a singular, heroic act of grand display. Rather, it is a conscious daily return to your authentic center, a profound willingness to live consistently from your inner dwelling, to bravely choose truth in countless small, unassuming moments, to consciously allow peace to be your fundamental baseline state, and to permit your entire life to naturally express the unique frequency of love and wisdom that you intrinsically carry. From this wellspring of coherence, you effortlessly become truly helpful. Your inherent steadiness subtly calms and steadies those around you, and your clear, unclouded perspective naturally opens vast space for collective clarity and illumination. As the anticipated era of disclosure and profound revelation draws ever closer, and as an increasing number of conscious beings become palpably present within the human energetic field, it is absolutely crucial to remember that true, authentic contact will always, without exception, honor your inherent sovereignty. Your discerning judgment matters immensely. Your conscious consent matters unequivocally. And above all, your deep, inner yes or no holds ultimate authority. The most straightforward and reliable method to remain crystal clear amidst potentially complex information is to consistently remain intimately close to your own sacred center, that inner sanctuary where truth resonates with a profound sense of calm, and where your natural curiosity remains gently open and unburdened by dogma. You are not in any way invited or expected to blindly believe everything presented to you. Rather, you are lovingly invited to deeply feel what truly resonates as coherent within your being, and to consciously choose that which genuinely strengthens your profound relationship with Source, with your physical body, with the living earth, and with your human community. If you have, at times, felt an aching sense of being profoundly alone, allow this very moment to be a gentle, reassuring turning toward deeper companionship, for you are accompanied and supported in far more intricate and expansive ways than you were ever taught or dared to imagine. If you have been grappling with a pervasive sense of uncertainty, let this moment serve as your conscious return to unwavering steadiness, a profound steadiness that already resides within the very essence of your next breath. If you have felt a deep, resonant call within your soul, let this moment mark the true beginning of a simple, yet transformative practice, for the unfolding future is not merely an external event, but is profoundly built from the very quality and depth of your present moment presence. And so, we now meet you precisely where you already are, within the tender, sacred sanctuary of this very breath you are taking. In that profound sanctuary, your journey of healing continues, gently and ceaselessly. Carry this deep and abiding peace into all your days, and let the sacred act of remembrance be your constant, living prayer. I am Alia from Maya. Alongside healing, presence naturally brings forth enhanced clarity of mind, an abiding inner peace, profoundly improved relationships, a firmer and more reliable intuition, and a quiet, unshakable trust that emanates from truly knowing yourself as an eternal being, far more expansive than any temporary circumstance or fleeting situation. For you, our beloved starseeds, this process of presence and healing often manifests as a significant inner reorientation, a turning point where you consciously cease striving to earn or prove your belonging, and instead begin to simply allow that innate sense of belonging to be deeply felt and integrated. This shift occurs because you intrinsically remember your profound purpose for incarnating here to embody higher consciousness, to lovingly serve the planetary field, and to contribute to its stabilization. And this very act of embodiment, of truly anchoring your light, begins with the gentlest, yet most powerful act of all, the unwavering return to your authentic, coherent self. As you consciously undertake this journey of return, you will likely begin to perceive and realize that harmony is not some elusive state you must strenuously manufacture or painstakingly create. Rather, harmony is an inherent principle, always already present, silently abiding beneath the agitated surface of your daily experiences, much like a serene, calm current flowing undisturbed beneath turbulent, choppy waters. Your consistent practice, then, is to intentionally let your awareness gently sink and reside below the surface, again and again, with patient devotion, until this profound inner calm becomes utterly familiar to you, and this very familiarity transforms into your most cherished, enduring home. It is from this profound inner home, this sanctuary of self, that your entire life spontaneously begins to transform and unfold in ways that feel entirely natural, organic, and graceful, rather than strenuous, forced, or artificial. You will then truly begin to recognize that the authentic measure of deep healing is never found in external drama, sensational spectacle, or the compulsive need to prove anything whatsoever to anyone else. Instead, it is revealed in the steady, unwavering continuity of an abiding inner peace, a calm availability that remains accessible to you, irrespective of external circumstances, as you gracefully navigate the rich tapestry of your ordinary human days. This, then, marks the first significant threshold on your journey, understanding healing as an inherent return to self, recognizing wholeness as your native, intrinsic state, perceiving harmony as an ever-present, underlying principle, and defining the spiritual work itself as the simple, yet profound, devotion of your conscious attention to these truths. Harmony is a fundamental principle, beloved ones, not merely a fleeting feeling or an elusive outcome. When you consciously relate to it and embrace it as an immutable principle of existence, you naturally cease passively waiting for it to magically arrive, and instead, you actively begin learning how it is truly lived, how it intrinsically organizes your thoughts, influences your emotions, shapes your relationships, and orchestrates the practical, graceful flow of your daily life. Many among you have, undoubtedly, experienced tantalizing glimpses and tasted the sweet essence of harmony in brief, ephemeral moments, perhaps during a deep meditative state, or while immersed in the serene beauty of nature, or in a sudden, unexpected wave of profound peace that seemed to manifest from an unknown source. Your analytical mind, however, often tends to categorize and treat these precious moments as unpredictable, random gifts of fate. Yet we assure you, harmony transforms from a fleeting sensation into a continuous, abiding experience when you genuinely understand and cultivate the specific inner conditions that not only allow it to be clearly recognized, but also consciously sustained as a consistent state of being. This omnipresent harmony profoundly impacts every facet of your existence: the physical, the mental, the moral, the relational, the financial, and the creative spheres. This occurs not because harmony is some external force actively manipulating or dictating the world's events, but rather because your outer world organically responds and exquisitely reflects the inherent inner coherence, the integrated alignment that you consciously embody and carry within your being. Coherence, in essence, is a profound form of inner agreementist state where the rhythm of your breath, the resonance of your heart, the wisdom of your choices, and the focus of your attention all begin to gracefully move and flow in the same unified direction, creating an undeniable synergy within you. When your inner energetic field is fragmented, scattered, or disorganized, the outer world often mirrors this internal state, appearing chaotic and fragmented in turn. Conversely, when your inner field becomes deeply settled, aligned, and coherent, your perception of the outer world shifts, and it naturally becomes more manageable and navigable. Even when external circumstances undeniably remain complex and challenging, you experience yourself as remarkably less divided or conflicted within, maintaining an inner equilibrium. This harmonious state marks the true beginning of profound inner peace, the genesis of genuine, sustainable well-being that permeates every level of your existence. To truly know and comprehend a universal principle is to possess an unwavering knowing of what you can consistently rely upon, what is fundamentally dependable. This is precisely why deep understanding holds such paramount importance. Without this foundational understanding, you may unwittingly find yourself endlessly waiting for harmony to materialize, all while continuing to operate from ingrained habits and unconscious patterns that perpetually draw you further away from its embrace. This creates a lived experience that feels like a flickering, uncertain light, rather than the stable, ever-present glow of a steady dawn. Harmony, when embraced as a fundamental principle, does not, in any way, demand perfection or flawless execution. Instead, it gently invites your conscious presence, and this very presence, in turn, becomes the powerful stabilizer that allows your entire system, your mind, body, and spirito, recognize truth with increasing consistency and clarity. As you progressively recognize what is true, you quite naturally and effortlessly begin to release and shed what is not true, what is inauthentic or misaligned. This profound act of release serves as the indispensable doorway through which harmony gracefully returns to reside within you. When harmony is actively lived and embodied as a guiding principle, you no longer approach peace as a prize to be won through struggle or effort. Instead, you consciously treat peace as something intrinsically familiar, something you remember and lovingly practice returning to with gentle consistency, much like re-entering a cherished, beloved place you may have momentarily forgotten even existed. From this consistent, repeated return to your coherent center, a profound stability organically grows. And this stability, in turn, accomplishes something truly profound and transformative. It renders your inner life utterly reliable and trustworthy to your own perception. When your inner landscape becomes consistently reliable, your relationship with the external world naturally becomes far more skillful and nuanced. Your choices emerge less from reactivity and more from conscious wisdom, and your personal boundaries become less defensive and more porous yet firm. This, beloved ones, is the enduring kind of harmonia, profound state that lasts precisely because it is deeply rooted in immutable principle. This principle simply describes how reality itself behaves and unfolds when you consciously meet it and engage with it from your own coherent, unwavering center. And this potent, available center is always, without exception, accessible to you through the simplest, most fundamental act of conscious awareness and presence. True understanding is a quiet, yet immensely potent power. It profoundly differs from mere memorization in the same fundamental way that the direct experience of nourishing food differs from its written description because authentic understanding becomes deeply integrated into your very nervous system, becomes an intrinsic part of your foundational perception, and intrinsically shapes the very way you move through and experience your everyday life. When this understanding is truly integrated and embodied within you, you no longer feel the constant need to consciously convince yourself of its truth in every passing moment. Instead, you simply live directly from it, allowing it to be your guiding, inherent knowing. Many beings, across various planes of existence, often confuse intellectual belief with authentic, lived knowing. While belief can indeed serve as a valuable initial bridge leading you toward the recognition of what is real, it is ultimately lived knowing that consistently brings forth a profound steadiness and stability. And this steadiness, in turn, fosters an invaluable sense of continuity. And it is precisely this deep, unwavering continuity that most hearts are truly seeking when they articulate their profound desire for healing. The deepest forms of exhaustion, both physical and spiritual, often stem directly from pervasive inconsistency from the draining feeling that peace is only sporadically available, that you must relentlessly chase after it, arduously earn it, or constantly negotiate for its presence in your life. Genuine understanding profoundly allows for true rest because it illuminates and reveals the fundamental principle operating beneath any given experience. When you truly grasp and know this underlying principle, you cease perceiving harmony as a random, unpredictable occurrence, and instead, you begin to relate to it as an intrinsic state you can consciously return to time and again through repeatable, reliable inner guidance and self-attunement. This profound alignment does not imply that you gain control over life's external circumstances. Rather, it signifies that you become deeply coherent and harmonized within the dynamic flow of life itself. Coherence is the optimal condition under which your intuition blossoms and becomes significantly clearer. Your choices naturally simplify and align, and your sensitive inner energetic field becomes remarkably less susceptible to being overwhelmed or swayed by the tumultuous emotional weather of the collective human consciousness. For you, our beloved starseeds, this cultivated coherence is of especially paramount importance. Many of you are intrinsically empathic by your very design, exquisitely tuned and highly sensitive to environmental frequencies and the subtle energies around you. Without a foundational understanding of this innate sensitivity, you may inadvertently spend years believing you are somehow broken or flawed, when in truth, you're simply untrained in the vital skill of establishing energetic boundaries, untrained in the delicate art of remaining deeply centered and self-possessed, even while profoundly feeling the emotions and energies of others. This crucial understanding illuminates and teaches you the discerning difference between healthy sensitivity and overwhelming energetic overload, between authentic compassion and detrimental emotional absorption, and between genuine, selfless service and unsustainable self-erasure. When you master these vital distinctions, you inevitably begin to deeply stabilize your energetic system. As you achieve this profound stabilization, your unique spiritual gifts, which may have previously felt burdensome or overwhelming, become fully usable, accessible, and integrated. And as your gifts become truly usable in service to your highest path, your life itself begins to feel profoundly aligned and harmonious, as though it is now beautifully serving your true purpose and unfolding gracefully for you. This profound understanding also represents the direct exit from patterns of dependency. When you operate without this foundational understanding, You tend to instinctively outsource your inherent authority and agency to external outcomes, to other people, to established systems, or to any external structure that promises a comforting, yet often illusory, sense of certainty. Conversely, when you cultivate true understanding, you begin to intrinsically carry certainty not as a need for external proof or validation, but as a profound, unwavering inner alignment. This particular kind of certainty is remarkably gentle and quiet. It requires no external noise, no vehement argument, and no outward validation, because it is the direct, undeniable, felt experience of truth resonating deeply within your physical body and energetic field. Your wise physical body inherently recognizes and responds to truth as a profound sense of ease, a deep settling and grounding, a palpable softening sensation in the chest, a clearer and more expansive breath, and a calm, steady gaze that reflects inner peace. As this deep, embodied understanding blossoms and expands within you, your concept of faith naturally transforms, becoming less like a tentative hoping and far more like an unwavering, confident trusting. This trusting, in turn, evolves from a mere wishing into a complete, profound inhabiting, a full dwelling within a truth. And this very act of inhabiting your truth becomes the solid, unshakable foundation upon which genuine healing becomes reliably and consistently accessible. This progression naturally guides us to the next significant threshold: healing that transcends mere probability, healing understood as a direct manifestation of inherent coherence rather than a random occurrence of chance. As your profound understanding matures and deeply integrates into lived experience, rather than remaining merely an abstract mental idea, you will begin to perceive and notice something subtle, yet remarkably steady, forming and pervading across your daily existentia, profound kind of reliability and inner fortitude that does not waver or would depend upon fluctuating moods or external circumstances, precisely because it is deeply rooted in immutable, universal principle. When conscious adherence to principle is consistently present, harmony ceases to be a rare, unpredictable occurrence and instead becomes a natural, intrinsic property of energetic alignment and inner coherence. Many individuals in your world have been conditioned and inadvertently trained to relate to the concept of healing as a matter of mere probability, as if profound heart well-being were akin to winning a lottery ticket, or inner peace were as unpredictable as a weather pattern, or genuine relief were simply granted by arbitrary chance. Yet, we assert, you were inherently designed and exquisitely built for something far more profoundly coherent and dependable than a fragile hope. Your very being, your entire energetic architecture, is intricately constructed to respond to fundamental truth in consistent, repeatable, and entirely predictable ways. You will clearly recognize and validate this inherent design when you observe how the same consistent inner guidance, when faithfully followed, invariably tends to produce the same harmonious inner result again and again, manifesting with remarkable consistency even as the external world around you constantly shifts and changes. When you navigate life without this profound, anchoring understanding, your sensitive nervous system often finds itself metaphorically holding its breath, perpetually waiting, cautiously measuring, and anxiously watching for external signs and assurances. This creates a deeply uncertain relationship with life, one that feels unstable and precarious, even amidst outwardly favorable conditions. Conversely, when you live imbued with genuine understanding, your entire system naturally begins to deeply exhale, releasing accumulated tension. Understanding effectively dissolves the perceived unpredictability of life by illuminating and revealing the clear, accessible pathways through which coherence is always reliably restored. You are then empowered to consciously return to those proven pathways as often as needed, without drama or strenuous effort, because this act of return is a fundamental skill, one that is continuously strengthened and refined through consistent practice and conscious application. This is the very genesis of true reliability in your inner world. You discover, with profound relief, that peace is not some fleeting reward earned through perfect behavior or an elusive state to be endlessly pursued. Instead, it is an inherent state, always accessible, through repeatable, conscious acts of present moment awareness, gentle softening of resistance, and unwavering inner truthfulness. As you consistently repeat these coherent acts, the energetic field within you gradually becomes stable and robust enough to establish and hold a new baseline of being gone, intrinsic tone of profound rest, an unwavering sense of well-being that, over time, becomes increasingly familiar and deeply ingrained as your natural state. You may keenly observe, beloved starseeds, that when you are deeply stable and coherent within your own being, a multitude of positive shifts naturally occur. Meaningful synchronicities significantly increase in your life. Your choices become undeniably clearer and more aligned, and your relationships organically gravitate toward greater authenticity and honesty. Furthermore, your physical body often feels remarkably more responsive to rest and rejuvenation, and your discerning mind becomes considerably less enchanted, less captivated, and less swayed by the pervasive illusions of fear. None of these profound shifts need to manifest as extraordinary or outwardly dramatic events to be undeniably real and deeply impactful. Indeed, the most potent and transformative awakenings often unfold quietly, subtly, much like the gentle, unannounced arrival of a new dawn, painting the world with fresh light. Healing, when viewed through this illuminated lens, becomes an expected outcomeous, naturally anticipated as the sensation of warmth when you step into the embrace of sunlight. This is not because you forcefully compel warmth to exist or engage in arguments with the concept of shadow, but rather because you profoundly understand how energetic alignment intrinsically functions, and you consciously choose that alignment repeatedly, thereby allowing your entire life to gracefully respond and reorganize in harmony. The fundamental shift unfolding here is both gentle and profoundly transformative. It is a movement from anxious waiting to deep, abiding rest from perpetually scanning the outer horizon for an external rescue, to consciously inhabiting your coherent inner center, where all authentic guidance is already inherently present and accessible. Within that profound state of inner rest, you naturally become far more receptive to assistance, truly able to graciously receive whatever is offered, whether it arrives through insightful inner wisdom, through deeply supportive relationships, through concrete practical steps, or through the simple, exquisite grace of impeccable timing that effortlessly places you in the right place, imbued with the right clarity, at the most opportune moment. As this deep inner reliability solidifies within you, you naturally become far more perceptive and discerning regarding the various interwoven layers of care and support that are genuinely available to you. A truly coherent being does not mistakenly confuse different levels or domains of experience. Instead, a coherent being wisely honors each distinct layer of support for precisely what it can authentically carry and contribute to one's well-being. This discerning perspective is precisely why we now speak with utmost clarity about the distinct yet interconnected inner and outer approaches to healing and well-being. Our intention is not to artificially divide them, but rather to bring them into a harmonious and right relationship through the unifying power of understanding. There's a profound, quiet maturity that blossoms within you when you can genuinely recognize and articulate the specific kind of support you're truly seeking. Different, distinct layers of your human experience naturally respond to different, appropriate kinds of care and intervention. In this context, discernment evolves into the crucial bridge that facilitates wise and aligned choices made without self-judgment, without lingering shame, and entirely without the need to prove anything whatsoever to yourself or to others. Your physical body, this marvelous vessel, is a living, complex instrument exquisitely shaped by intricate biological processes, environmental factors, the quality of your nutrition, adequate rest, consistent movement, inherited genetics, and the passage of time. Your world has, quite commendably, developed many invaluable forms of medical knowledge and scientific expertise that address physical processes and ailments with ever-increasing precision and efficacy. We emphasize this point with clarity because honoring your physical body as a real, tangible aspect of your existence is an integral part of honoring your entire incarnation as a profoundly meaningful and significant journey. Conversely, your intricate inner field encompassing your consciousness, emotional patterns, identity structures, and spiritual orientation operates through a distinctly different set of dynamics. This inner realm profoundly responds to conscious presence, inner coherence, the mindful rhythm of your breath, practices of meditation and contemplative prayer, the authentic expression of honest feeling, deep trauma integration, the release of outdated limiting beliefs, and the consistent, unwavering remembrance of what is eternally true about your being. Therefore, when we speak of spiritual healing, our communication is primarily conveyed in the profound language of consciousness itself, because this is specifically the energetic domain we are here to illuminate, to clarify, and to support. We harbor no intention whatsoever to overlay or replace your established human systems of medicine or your invaluable scientific and medical expertise. Instead, we meet you precisely where our unique contribution is most favorable and impactful in the profound restoration of your intrinsic inner coherence and the powerful remembrance of your innate, indivisible wholeness. This is why we meticulously maintain this energetic distinction with such clarity, not because one approach is inherently better or more correct than the other, but because clarity itself is the most effective preventative against confusion and unproductive mixing of modalities. Confusion, as you may have experienced, is profoundly exhausting to the sensitive nervous system. Clarity, by sharp contrast, is deeply nourishing and empowering, as it frees you from the fruitless effort of trying to force one valuable tool to perform the specialized work of another entirely different one. In very practical terms, beloved ones, this discerning understanding means that you are warmly invited and empowered to make all your choices from a place of deep inner centering and coherence. If your physical body genuinely requires professional medical care, you can seek and receive it calmly, with dignity, and with profound self-respect, knowing you are honoring its needs. Similarly, if your heart requires deep communion, emotional integration, or spiritual sustenance, you can confidently turn inward, engaging in spiritual practice without attempting to make it bear the full, inappropriate weight of purely physical concerns. Conversely, you avoid the pitfall of expecting conventional medicine to carry the profound weight of your soul's deepest yearnings and spiritual longing. Choice, approached in this coherent and discerning manner, transforms from an internal conflict into a source of profound clarity. Discernment, then, becomes an act of self-kindness and wisdom, rather than a rigid adherence to ideology or dogma. You will feel the profound difference immediately within your being. Your physical body, in particular, will visibly relax and ease when it is no longer compelled to expend energy defending a particular belief system in order to justify or receive the support it genuinely needs. For you, our cherished starseeds, this clear distinction is exceptionally useful and liberating. Many among you inherently carry an instinctual affinity and capacity for multidimensional solutions and often perceive beyond purely physical remedies. Consequently, you have sometimes, perhaps unfairly, judged yourself for the very essence of your human experience, for simply needing adequate rest, for accepting practical help, or for requiring the natural passage of time in your healing processes. We lovingly invite you to adopt a much gentler, more compassionate posture towards yourselves. Your incarnation into human form is a sacred and purposeful act. Actively receiving appropriate, holistic support across all levels of your being is, in fact, a profound form of wisdom and intelligence. Your inner spiritual work will become significantly more potent, more effective, and more deeply integrated when your outer life is simultaneously stabilized and nourished by wise, balanced care. Therefore, allow your inner spiritual practice to remain pure and unwavering in its essential purpose, restoring deep coherence, cultivating vibrant presence, and awakening profound remembrance of your true self. Simultaneously, ensure that your outer actions and engagement with the world remain practical, grounded, and attuned to the realities of your physical existence. You will, with great satisfaction, discover that these two seemingly distinct realms, the inner and the outer, begin to naturally harmonize and integrate, creating a synergistic flow. This is because harmony profoundly resonates with clarity, and clarity, in turn, opens the necessary energetic space for the next significant threshold we shall now enter and explore together. This brings us to the profound concept of healing as a dimensional shift, healing understood as an expansive transformation of the very context within which you perceive and experience your own self and your reality. There exists a particularly subtle, yet immensely potent, kind of healing that manifests as an expansive sense of internal spacious if your entire inner world suddenly becomes a vast, wider room, suffused with more abundant air, imbued with more brilliant light, and characterized by a greater, more profound silence between your thoughts, allowing for clarity and peace. You may beautifully notice that this profound inner space does not, in any way, demand that you fix or correct yourself before you are granted entry. It is emphatically not a reward for achieving some ideal state or for making corrections to perceived flaws. Rather, it is an intrinsic, natural environment of consciousness, always and readily accessible to you simply through the cultivation of present moment awareness. As you consciously engage in the simple acts of deep breathing and gentle softening of your being, your inherent awareness naturally begins a profound process of reorganization. This very reorganization of your consciousness, this shift in perceptual framework, is precisely what we refer to as a dimensional shift. The term dimension here is not to be understood in a dramatic, fantastical science fiction sense. Rather, it refers to the fundamental context of your consciousness, the specific reality level you consciously inhabit through your perception. Your perception, in essence, serves as the primary and pivotal doorway through which all of your lived experience is ultimately formed and manifested. Within a constricted, limited context of consciousness, life often appears as an endless series of problems to diligently manage, rigid identities to fiercely defend, pervasive fears to valiantly overcome, and elusive approvals to constantly strive to obtain. Conversely, within an expanded, coherent context of consciousness, life reveals itself as a vibrant, living, intelligent field, a dynamic tapestry with which you can consciously meet, actively participate, and skillfully navigate from a place of profound inner wisdom and intrinsic connection. Perhaps the most striking and liberating difference observed in this expanded state is that your inherent sense of self becomes vastly larger, more expansive, and more inclusive than any single condition, circumstance, or experience you might observe or encounter in your outer reality. This profound expansion frequently manifests as a feeling of rising to a much steadier, elevated vantage point of place, where perceived limitations and constrictions naturally begin to lose their authoritative relevance. This occurs not because you deny the reality of your physical body or consciously refuse to engage with challenging circumstances, but because you finally deeply feel and know that your intrinsic truth, your authentic essence, is not confined, limited, or defined by any temporary external circumstance whatsoever. When you embody this expansive knowing, the pervasive grip of fear naturally and gracefully releases its hold. This is because fear, in its very essence, thrives and perpetuates itself within small, constricted conceptual rooms and limited perspectives, but inevitably loses its oppressive authority and dissolves into insignificance when confronted with the boundless freedom of an open, expansive sky of consciousness. You then begin to profoundly recognize consciousness itself as the ultimate, all-encompassing healing environment. This understanding is vital because environments, by their very nature, intrinsically shape and define what is possible and what can manifest within their given parameters. When consciousness itself attains a state of deep coherence and internal alignment, the realm of possibilities within your life spontaneously reorganizes and expands. Your decisions naturally simplify and become clearer, and your entire energetic system undergoes a profound transformation, becoming increasingly resilient and attuned. It acts as if it possesses a wider array of choices because, indeed, it genuinely does. Within this greatly expanded understanding, freedom profoundly unveils itself as a fundamental perceptual shift, transformation that is often remarkably subtle and gentle, a quiet softening within the chest, the deepening of one's breath, a profound moment of realization that you possess the inherent capacity to thoughtfully respond rather than merely react, an unwavering recognition that you can consciously choose presence even when the external world around you is overwhelmingly noisy and chaotic. This deliberate choice immediately begins to fundamentally reconfigure how the tapestry of your life gracefully unfolds. For those identified as starseeds, this experience resonates deeply, feeling akin to a powerful return on linear, vivid remembrance of your authentic, inherent frequency after countless years spent diligently adapting to the denser energies and expectations of this plane. This profound remembrance, in turn, spontaneously restores a wealth of natural, inherent gifts, unwavering clarity of thought, a profound sense of inner calm, boundless compassion that doesn't lead to personal collapse or burnout, and a selfless service offered without any sense of self-erasure or depletion. This is possible precisely because you are no longer constrained to operate multidimensionally from a limited, constricted sense of identity. That is precisely why our discourse utilizes the language of elevation and upliftment rather than that of harsh correction or judgment. Elevation, by its very nature, significantly expands one's context. This broadened context, in turn, gracefully opens up ample space for deeper integration, and integration, as a beautiful and natural byproduct, consistently produces profound healing. As you consciously begin to inhabit and experience this vastly wider inner environment, you will discover that the process of release becomes remarkably practical and tangible primarily because consciousness itself transforms into the essential key that effortlessly unlocks genuine movement and progress. This awakening naturally guides you to the next significant threshold release achieved purely through the power of consciousness state, where your focused field of attention inherently becomes the vibrant bridge through which your life authentically remembers and reclaims its own innate freedom. Freedom, upon its initial arrival, frequently manifests as a subtle, yet deeply felt inner spaciousness, a profound sense that you finally possess ample room, once more room to breathe deeply, to genuinely feel your emotions without judgment, and to consciously choose your path. This invaluable inner space is not, crucially, created by forcefully pushing against or aggressively resisting challenging circumstances. Instead, it is gracefully revealed by the conscious act of encountering and meeting those very circumstances from that part of you that is immeasurably larger and more expansive than any single fleeting moment. When your attention gently settles and rests in that more expansive internal sanctuary, you begin to experience a calm, quiet authority that is neither dramatic nor demanding, requiring no domination or contentious argument. It is simply a stable, unwavering recognition that consciousness itself intrinsically organizes all experience, and that what you consistently and consciously hold within your inner field fundamentally shapes how life can gracefully reach and interact with you. That is precisely why the act of release is so often gently preceded by a moment of profound recognition that signifies the very first instant you cease to be hypnotized or enthralled by superficial appearances and begin to truly feel the deeper, underlying current flowing beneath the surface. Within that powerful current, you inherently realize that authentic movement was always ceaselessly present, simply awaiting your conscious permission to finally become visible and manifest. You may then discern that action begins to flow with far greater naturalness and ease, not originating from a forced exertion of strength or the complete elimination of all fear, but rather because your entire being senses that nothing is truly holding you captive or constrained, as you might have erroneously assumed for so long. With this profound and liberating feeling, even the smallest, most hesitant step becomes entirely possible. The very next breath you take becomes an honest, authentic one. The subsequent decision you face becomes unequivocally clear. In the sacred narratives and cherished stories of your world, you consistently observe this very pattern, repeating. The transformative moment of rise and walk is never a dramatic, external battle. Instead, it is a profound invitation to ascend to a different level of perception where perceived limitation is no longer the foundational organizing principle governing your reality. When this fundamental organizing principle undergoes such a profound shift, your body, your emotions, and your mind all spontaneously respond and align themselves with this newly established higher order. 4 starseeds. This understanding feels inherently familiar in a way that may genuinely surprise you. Many of you understood freedom as a distinct frequency and energetic signature long before you ever consciously comprehended it as a learned human skill or capacity. What you are diligently learning now is precisely how to gracefully allow that potent frequency to be fully lived and embodied here within a physical form, within the constraints of linear time, within the context of meaningful relationships, and within the seemingly small, everyday choices that often appear insignificant until you truly realize they are, in fact, the very doorways through which a vibrant, new reality profoundly enters and establishes itself. Therefore, allow the process of release to be gentle and compassionate. Let it be eminently practical and applicable. And crucially, let it be repeatable and accessible. Observe how frequently it arrives when you simply and mindfully place your attention precisely where truth inherently resides, for truth never strives or struggles. And in truth's profound, unwavering presence, your inner life spontaneously becomes manageable and harmonious once again. You will distinctly feel a beautiful consistency gradually forming within you. This consistency then becomes the steadfast foundation upon which ongoing healing powerfully continues, precisely because coherence, with its gentle, unifying embrace, lovingly holds and supports all that freedom so beautifully reveals. Now, as you gently hold and embrace this profound insight, your heart with its innate wisdom begins to tenderly instruct your mind on how to truly rest, completely and peacefully, in an atmosphere of unwavering trust. Coherence, at its core, is the deeply felt and embodied experience of profound wholeness. This sense of wholeness manifests as a crystal clear, vital inner current gracefully moving through every fiber of your Bena state, where your breath, your heart, and your mind harmoniously journey together, rather than being pulled and scattered in disparate, conflicting directions. As this foundational coherence steadily grows and strengthens within you, you may distinctly notice that your energetic reserves become significantly more available and abundant. Your attention feels far less fragmented and scattered, and even the simplest, most mundane daily tasks feel noticeably lighter and more effortless. This happens because your internal system no longer expends its precious strength in constant, draining negotiation and internal conflict with itself. This beautiful shift is truly one of the quiet, yet immensely valuable gifts of deep alignment, a gift that many profoundly underestimate until they are finally able to truly taste and embody its transformative power. Divided attention, by its very nature, disperses and scatters your experience, much like weakened light spread thinly across myriad surfaces. When your inner life is fragmented and scattered in this manner, sustaining genuine healing becomes incredibly arduous, not because there is something inherently wrong with you, nor because you lack inherent worthiness. Rather, it is because the internal field that is meant to gracefully carry and facilitate change is repeatedly interrupted and disrupted by persistent doubt, incessant overanalysis, and the ingrained habit of constantly keeping a backup plan strategically hidden behind your primary intention or effort. Coherence, in stark and beautiful contrast, embodies a single, unified orientation. This singular orientation naturally generates a powerful sense of continuity, a profound stability that allows your nervous system to gently relax and fully receive a clear, reassuring message. Am I safe enough to truly receive this? Am I stable enough to genuinely listen? Am I willing enough to consciously remain present right here, right now? Unified trust is not a mere performance or an external display. It is, fundamentally, an authentic inner agreement, a deep pact made with yourself. Inner agreement signifies that pivotal moment when you cease to divide your loyalty between the fearful, often critical, voice of doubt and the calm, reassuring voice of truth. Instead, you consciously choose to live consistently from that truth for a duration long enough for your physical body to learn and recognize it as a familiar, comfortable state of being. That is precisely why the deepest and most profound healing becomes truly sustainable only when trust itself is fully clarified and solidified within you, for your inner field consistently responds to and aligns with what you genuinely and consistently trust. When trust is scattered and inconsistent, your entire system repeatedly reverts to its old, familiar baseline. However, when trust becomes unified and unwavering, your system begins the magnificent work of building a completely new baseline, stable, higher frequency. This new baseline then organically becomes the true inner home you consistently return to, even as the inevitable surface waves of life continue to ebb and flow around you. For starseeds, the journey towards coherence often begins with a brave act of self-permission. Many of you are meticulously trained to adapt, to camouflage, and to divide yourselves into seemingly acceptable pieces in order to fit in. The vital healing work now involves tenderly gathering those fragmented pieces back into a vibrant, living whole, not through force or coercion, but through the profound power of kindness. Kindness itself is a potent frequency that intrinsically allows for graceful integration without any internal struggle or violence. As you diligently gather these parts of yourself, you will naturally become more consistent in your being. Consistency is the precise language that the body inherently understands, the language that the subconscious mind implicitly trusts, and a language that life itself powerfully responds to. That is why cultivating coherence is truly one of the most practical and profoundly spiritual skills you can ever develop. It quietly, yet fundamentally, transforms your entire relationship with time, with your choices, with your service to others, and with your much-needed rest. Therefore, allow your coherence to be beautifully simple. Let it be genuinely lived and expressed in countless small, everyday moments. And allow it to be renewed often, because genuine wholeness is consistently strengthened and deepened through conscious repetition. Repetition is precisely how the human vehicle learns to gracefully carry and embody light without experiencing undue tension or strain. When life unexpectedly feels urgent and demanding, coherence transforms into your steadfast anchor, offering a powerful blend of compassion, clarity, and unwavering support for each and every step you take along your path. There are undoubtedly seasons in life when existence seems to accelerate rapidly, moments when the physical body feels profoundly overloaded, emotions cascade in overwhelming waves, and responsibilities multiply with astonishing speed. During these intensely demanding periods, the most profoundly healing and restorative gift you can possibly offer yourself is unreserved compassion. Compassion, in its essence, gracefully creates an essential inner space, a sanctuary where the next, most appropriate, and right step can gently and clearly reveal itself. If you find yourself in a significant transition, whether recovering from the depths of grief, navigating through periods of profound uncertainty, diligently caring for cherished family members, moving through intense anxiety, or courageously rebuilding after a significant loss, it is paramount to allow support to be both real and genuinely practical. Permit trusted individuals to simply be present with you. Allow yourself to seek and receive qualified professional care when it is truly needed. And crucially, recognize that rest itself is a profound form of wisdom. Let your dedicated inner practice serve as the unwavering, steady center that steadfastly assists you in integrating all that you are courageously moving through. In this sacred work, there is absolutely no condemnation for employing mixed strategies during times of extreme urgency, for urgency itself is fundamentally a condition of a nervous system. The nervous system, above all else, responds first and foremost to the experience of safety. And safety, wonderfully, can arrive through a multitude of diverse doors and pathways. The deeper, more enduring question, however, always remains the same: can you consistently keep returning to a state of internal coherence, even while wisely accepting and utilizing whatever forms of support genuinely sustain you in the present moment? Release is truly possible at any given moment. It commences with conscious presence, and presence, in its simplest form, begins with just one honest, authentic breath. Even if you have felt profoundly disconnected or away from your true self for an extended period, a return can happen right now quietly, without any need for external drama or fanfare, much like a weary traveler spotting a familiar, comforting light in the distant horizon and intuitively knowing that the path leading home remains open and accessible. Gentleness is of paramount importance during all transitions, for the emerging self is still tenderly learning to trust the vastness of the world. The healing self is still patiently learning to trust the wisdom of the physical body. And the awakening self is still diligently learning to trust the subtle whispers of its own intuition. Trust, like a delicate plant, grows most robustly and beautifully when it is not rushed or forced. You may vividly notice that when you consistently treat yourself with profound kindness and understanding, your mind naturally becomes less harsh and self-critical. Your emotions grow less volatile and reactive. Your body becomes more receptive to deep, restorative rest. And your choices become remarkably clear. This occurs because coherence is inherently much easier to achieve and maintain when you're no longer engaged in an internal struggle or battle with yourself. Long-term, sustainable stability returns through the consistent practice of coherence. And coherence, in turn, returns through repetition. This repetition can be extraordinarily subtle and small: a conscious moment of silence before you speak, a gentle hand placed over your heart before making a decision, a full, conscious breath taken before responding to a situation, a gentle but firm boundary held with unwavering respect for yourself, or an honest acknowledgement of a feeling without immediately making it your entire identity. Healing, in its truest form, is both patient and gentle. It does not, crucially, demand an elusive perfection. Instead, it humbly asks for willingness, and willingness is the powerful seed that gradually grows and blossoms into profound trust. Trust, in essence, is the fertile soil where true peace ultimately takes root. And peace, in its purest state, is the serene atmosphere within which your life becomes harmoniously manageable and flowing once again. As your inner world steadily and profoundly stabilizes, you will joyfully discover that the outer world gradually begins to meet you with a deeper sense of cooperation and ease, not because everything external magically becomes perfect, but rather because you're sufficiently present and aware enough to clearly recognize genuine support when it arrives, and robust enough within yourself to gracefully receive it without resistance. From that profound inner steadiness, you will gain the clarity to discern precisely what truly nourishes and sustains your authentic being. Your world has indeed meticulously cultivated and developed remarkable forms of external support. There is an undeniable beauty and profound ingenuity in the human capacity to continuously learn, to diligently refine, to brilliantly invent, and to comprehensively care for the physical body through the ever-expanding tapestry of knowledge. Intelligence, when graciously expressed as heartfelt compassion, truly becomes medicine in a myriad of transformative forms. We profoundly honor the inherent sincerity and pure intention behind your collective desire to alleviate suffering and to extensively extend the well-being of all. As your scientific endeavors progressively advance, as your medical remedies gracefully evolve, as your sophisticated technologies become increasingly precise, and as your care systems gradually and wisely learn to embrace and include the entire, holistic person rather than merely focusing on a single isolated symptom, life, without a doubt, can become more comfortably structured, more inherently stable, and decidedly more efficient in its daily rhythm. Comfort undeniably holds its own rightful and important place. A nervous system that profoundly feels safe and secure can finally, genuinely rest. And rest, in turn, intrinsically creates the optimal conditions for the deepest, most profound healing to gracefully unfold and flourish. Yet, beloved ones, the very heart of your being carries an even deeper, more fundamental request. Comfort, it must be understood, is distinctly not the same as profound fulfillment. Ease experienced in one's external environment does not always, unequivocally, translate into a true sense of ease within the self. Many of you have keenly observed this profound distinction within the unfolding of your own lives. When one cherished goal is successfully achieved, another invariably appears on the horizon. When the temporary distraction of the outer world finally fades, the persistent inner question inevitably returns, and when the day gradually quiets and settles, the soul, with its unwavering voice, asks once again for true meaning and purpose. This profound yearning is emphatically not a failure of your world's myriad pleasures, nor is it a rejection of authentic human joy, for joy is sacred, celebration is sacred, and deep connection is sacred. All these experiences can be truly beautiful and enriching. Yet the soul, in its essence, consistently seeks something that does not fluctuate or waver with changing external circumstances, something that remains steadfastly present even when the lights go out, when the room falls silent, and when the mind can no longer rely on its habitual, well-worn strategies. External solutions can certainly offer invaluable support to the physical vehicle, effectively reduce tension, bring much-needed relief, and create precious inner space. This space, indeed, is immensely valuable. It graciously allows for a gentle turning inward without the desperate urgency that often accompanies overwhelming external pressure. As your world gradually stabilizes through the cultivation of peace, the nurturing of community, the establishment of economic security, and the creation of relational safety, your collective nervous system can finally begin to deeply relax. And as it relaxes, many pervasive forms of mental suffering naturally begin to diminish, for the psyche no longer needs to activate constant survival responses when the surrounding environment becomes more inherently reliable and supportive. Yet, even within the most stable and outwardly harmonious environments, the deepest, most intrinsic longing profoundly remains a longing not caused by external instability, but rather by the soul's ancient and vivid remembrance of a greater, encompassing wholeness and its unwavering desire to reestablish a conscious, living relationship with that very wholeness once again. That is precisely why entertainment, external achievements, and superficial outward improvements can never truly, fully replace the profound nourishment of communion. For communion, in its purest form, is the very food that sustains the soul. For starseeds, this critical distinction is often remarkably clear and palpable. You may have diligently explored and even cherished many external paths: intensive learning, adventurous travel, significant accomplishments, dedicated service, creative expression, and deep relationships. Yet, you likely still felt a quiet, persistent yearning for more, not a dissatisfaction with life itself, but rather an undeniable invitation to live from an even deeper, more authentic inner center of being. When you courageously honor that profound invitation, you naturally cease using the external aspects of your life to fill an inner space that was specifically designed for the experience of pure, vibrant presence. Therefore, let external solutions continue to provide support. Let them be practical, genuinely appreciated, and held in their rightful proportion within your life, but understand that the deepest, most enduring remedy is, in truth, far closer and more accessible than your very next thought. When you truly begin to feel and embody this profound truth, you will intuitively understand why this longing itself is inherently sacred and revered. There exists within you a profound and unwavering longing that neither argues nor demands attention, a deeply patient, persistently luminous yearning, much like a steadfast star that shines unceasingly, whether the shifting clouds permit its gentle light to be seen or not.